Hey everyone, it's Ron Milligan with RE/MAX Select here, coming to you from our office in Portland's Pearl District. And what I have for you today are the latest RMLS statistics for the month of February. RMLS is our regional multiple listing service. It is the realtor marketplace and the source of all information that you see online when you're looking at houses in Portland. For whatever website you happen to be looking on, Zillow, REMAX.com, Realtor.com, etc. So it's the realtor marketplace and pretty much the source of all that information. And what we have today are numbers for the Portland metro area, but only for the Oregon side. These numbers don't include the Washington numbers. So let's start with the figure that I'm always interested when this report comes out, which is the number of new listings. The reason I'm interested is because it's a really hard number to track, and RMLS puts this number out every month, and I'm always happy to see what they've got. So the number for new listings that hit the market in February was 2571, and that's up 3.9% versus last year. So what I think is interesting about this is we had more new listings hit the market February of this year versus February of last year, but at the same time, the number of active listings that we have, so the availability of listings for buyers to choose from, is actually less this year than it was last year. We had more new listings, but the demand ate them all up, and we end up with fewer active listings for buyers to choose from. And we can see that when we look at the pending numbers here. The pending numbers, the number of deals that went under contract this last month was 2452, and that's up 11.1% versus last year, which is pretty impressive considering how hot our market was last year. So that kind of explains why we had more listings that hit the market, but the end result at the end of the month is we actually have fewer active listings. The supply of listings is lower this year than it was last year. The number of closed sales, you can see here, was 1939, and that is down 2% from last year. So we actually closed more transactions last year than we did this year. Part of the reason for that is that we would be closing in February the transactions that went under contract at the end in December and January. So maybe towards the end of December and the beginning of January, those would be the deals that we'll be closing in February. And it's not surprising that we closed more deals last year than we did this year, just because when we followed the numbers, we saw that this year, November, December, January were quiet months in 2021 leading into 2022. Kind of our off season, which is a more typical Portland market. And then our market this year kicked into high gear at the beginning of February. That is really high gear. And the year before, so November, December of 2020 leading into January of 2022, that was a more robust off season for us, and that's when we were starting to gear up towards the crazy frenzy that we experienced last year. So we had more deals under contract that closed in February. So not a surprise that we saw that. The inventory in months for last month was 0.8 months of inventory. That's the same number that we had in January, and we probably had that number since about October. I believe it was 0.9, 0.8 in November, 0.6 in December, and then 0.8 January and February. Last year, that number was 1 month of inventory. The year before, in 2020, that number was 1.9 months of inventory. So you can see that we still have far fewer, we have higher demand, lower supply, resulting in this lower inventory in months, which is our way of measuring that supply and demand dynamic on our current market. And then the last number that we have here is the average sale price. So what this is a comparison of January and February of 2021 to January and February of 2022. And we can see that the number here is 584,100. That's our average sale price. That's up 10.5% versus last year. So comparing January and February of last year to January and February of this year. January alone, just as a reminder, it was around 14%, and then we ended 2021 at 15.8% above where we were the previous year. And that was comparing all 12 months of 2021 to 2020. So we'll be watching that number. That number seems to be falling quickly, but I suspect just based on the supply and demand dynamics and what we've been seeing anecdotally on the market that that number is going to start to rise probably through May, and then it'll start to fall off again. So of course we'll be keeping an eye on that, and we'll let you know as those numbers come out. And as always, all real estate is local. If you have questions about what's going on in your neck of the woods, your town, your neighborhood, even your building, feel free to reach out to us, and I'm happy to share what we know and what we can find out. All right, we'll see you soon.